welcome. I'm Robert, and today I want to discuss Puzzle Dungeon. And this is an indie title that's not available in conventional purchasing channels. You have to get it from the Etsy store, but there's also print and play and game crafter versions, which I'll share. So this is a game that I've brought up in the past in some of my lists. So it was an honorable mention in my top 50 solo board games of all time. And I also brought it up as a great intro solo board game. Okay, so this is a purely card driven game in which you're going to pick a character, and each character will ask you to slay monsters of a certain icon. Okay, so the monsters that you need to defeat will be known as your prey. Any monster that doesn't fall under these two icons will not be prey, and they'll be known as that little trophy icon. So when you defeat a monster that doesn't have any of those two icons, you trigger the ability with the little trophy icon, okay? And to do that, you're gonna have to kill them by matching the icons that you see at the bottom, okay? And you can match icons from the arsenal, which are face-up cards that are put in front of you. You can also match icons from cards in your hand as well, or as you slay monsters, you're gonna be able to use the icons from previously slaying monsters. By exhausting them, you're gonna get to add one of those icons to kill further monsters, okay? And characters are also double-sided, so that once you defeat it with the front side, there's a hard mode with the character that is even more challenging if you want to try to defeat the game with those rules instead. Now, the game is very simple rules-wise. There's only a couple of actions. You can either deal a card to your arsenal, or you can attack a monster, and that's really it. But then there's some twists. So when you defeat a monster, there's going to be an effect which usually is mandatory unless it has the word may in it, okay? And then when you pick a character, your character changes the rules of the game, and you have to try to complete your mission by adhering to the rules changes. So for example, the bodyguard says that when you take the deal action, you have to exhaust a monster in the front row, which is really bad, okay? Because then when you defeat that monster, you're not going to be able to use that icon to help you defeat other monsters, right? But when you defeat a monster that is anything other than those two icons, like if I defeat this one, for example, okay, then I get to ready a monster, any monster in the dungeon, right? So that you have to try to work around that and be able to defeat monsters and not end up exhausting all of them. So each character adds its own twist to the rules that keeps things interesting, and they'll ask you to hunt different monsters, okay? So I've really enjoyed this game in the past, but I barely played it for a couple of years, and now the creator came up with this new updated deck, okay? So I have the old deck, but he made a version 2 of a intro deck, okay? And I'll discuss a couple of the differences later, right? But yeah, I got this new version of the deck, and I've been having a blast with it, okay? So let me tell you what I really like about this game. So I really like how simple it is, okay? So you can learn it within a couple minutes, but despite its simplicity, is very crunchy because you have to really manage your hand of cards that you start with, okay? And you have to really puzzle with how to use the cards in the arsenal, because the thing with the arsenal that you have in front of you is that you can only use cards to match icons from the top, okay? So you have to figure out how to most effectively use the cards from the front of the arsenal and the cards in your hand. And then as you gain monsters, you're also going to have those icons that you can use later, okay? So it can get very interesting. And when you combine that with the bonuses that you get from defeating monsters, it really can lead to some very interesting decision making, and all within this very simple rule set. It also sets up so quick. You just shuffle the monster deck and you arrange them as you see there. You deal your 6 arsenal cards and you draw 6 cards. And you pick a character, of course. It's just so simple. Some characters every now and then will have a extra setup step, but it really is that simple. So this is just a perfect game to set up real quick and knock out a couple of games. And if you've seen my channel, you know that I love purely card-driven games, and this is one of the best in its category. With so many other games that I've played in the past couple of years, this game had fallen a bit to the wayside, but since I got this new deck, it really has helped me appreciate it. Now, I do want to discuss a couple caveats before I move on to comparing the original versus the new deck, okay? And one is the fact that sometimes when you deal a dungeon like this, when you set up, sometimes you can tell that it's pretty much going to be impossible to win, but it's still fun and it sets up and plays so quick that, you still give it a shot. But yeah, depending on how the dungeon layout comes out, you might be able to tell that it's going to be almost impossible. And two, sometimes there can be chains of triggers that can be a bit hard to keep track of. And also, when you use new characters, it can take a bit of adjusting to the new rules that the character brings with them. So, if you've been using another character for a while, you kind of pick a habit of doing what the other character told you. But then when you switch to a new character, it can take a bit of adjusting to following the restrictions that the new character gives you. Okay, so you have to pay extra attention to triggers and the rules changes. But this is helped by the fact that the rule set is pretty simple to begin with. So it all works pretty well in the end. Now, I want to talk about these two decks, right? Because when I first bought this, I thought that it pretty much was a reskin with new characters, okay? But this is a completely different deck, okay? And one thing I'll tell you right off the bat is that this deck is a lot more challenging, but in a good way, okay? And I'm going to put up on screen, because I really wanted to know why this deck was created, because I thought the original one was really good to begin with, right? So I went and looked up why this deck was created, and I'm going to put it up on screen, why the creator wanted this deck, what motivated the creator to make the deck. I'll put it up on screen. But the short of it is, he just wanted to really, after years of this one deck being out, he wanted to create a new deck that really pushed the envelope with the types of different monster effects when they're defeated, the different types of characters that warp the rules, right? He really wanted to create a new intro deck that really pushed the envelope a bit more with the different effects and how complex or challenging they can be. And it really does show, okay, because I went back and forth playing games with the old deck, and the old deck is a lot more forgiving when it comes to the monsters, for example. When you defeat the monsters, they have a lot more generous effects that let you draw cards. So card draw in this game is extremely precious, okay? Because when you use cards from your hand to match icons, you're not restricted like the Arsenal, where it's only cards from the top. So cards in your hand are extremely flexible when it comes to matching icons, okay? So now the monsters here, there's barely any card draw, okay? Yes, every monster has a bonus, but the bonuses of defeating a monster here are a lot more meager versus the bonuses that you'll find from defeating characters in the old deck, okay? From defeating the monsters. And also the old character designs as well, their abilities are a lot less restrictive and a lot more generous as to what type of bonuses you get from defeating your prey. So yeah, when you defeat prey or non-prey monsters in general, from what I experienced when going back to older characters, they were a lot more generous, okay? So yes, it was definitely easier. It was still crunchy, don't get me wrong. And I've played about 10 games of the new deck, and I did manage to win with these two characters, but each of them took me multiple tries, which will lend itself to a lot of replayability, which is nice because you have to learn their strengths and figure out how to circumvent their restrictions, okay? So yeah, it takes some getting used to, but I like it. It really lends itself to more plays, which I like it when a game can offer you ways of playing it repeatedly and quickly for good reason, okay? You're trying to learn the characters and how to win with them. So yeah, with the bodyguard, which is the third character that I've been trying to play, I think I've played 4 or 5 times. I still have not been able to defeat the game. This restriction here, the bodyguard rules are pretty brutal, okay? So yes, the new deck is less forgiving, but you can totally still win. It'll just take some repeated plays to learn your characters. And also, there's a couple things I really appreciate about this as well. One is the fact that it comes with a box that you can actually fit the game sleeved in there. The previous game, that was not the case, so I had to come up with my own solution. So I cut up the box and made up my own, basically. But this game, I didn't need to do that. It fits sleeved, which I liked. And the new deck also comes with this Traps and Treasures variant, which can make the game easier or harder. Okay, so you deal them during setup, and they'll reward you for defeating all monsters of a certain icon, or you can just have them on their positive side from the beginning, which will give you a little boon for the playthrough. Okay. And keep in mind that I haven't tried that variant yet because I don't think that I'm proficient enough in the system yet to implement them effectively. Because yeah, you can make it harder or easier. So it will add more replayability, but I don't feel like I'm ready for that yet. And another bonus with this is the improvement in the art. So yes, it's still pixelated art, but there's a very interesting increase in fidelity of the art. It's strange. It's almost like an NES to SNES improvement in the fidelity of the pixel art. I really appreciate it. I like the old art. I think it's cool, but you can definitely see the improvement here. Not just in the monsters and the characters, but also even in the arsenal cards. Okay. So yeah, I really like both decks and they're very different from each other. I love that I own both. If I want something a bit easy going and with less complex effects, I can go with the old deck. And if I want something slightly more complex and more challenging, I can go with this. Keep in mind that this is not currently available in the Etsy store. I don't know if he'll make it available again in the future, but you can still get the print and play version or buy it from the Game Crafter. But yeah, folks, those are my thoughts on Puzzle Dungeon. This is a fantastic card-driven, solo-only game with such a simple rule set, sets up quick, and it offers you a nice, quick session of puzzling with your hand of cards, your arsenal, and defeating monsters. Okay, so I've really been enjoying playing this almost daily for the past couple of weeks. Just a couple games. You can knock out a couple games really quick. It's perfect for lunch breaks, that type of deal. Perfect for travel as well. And there's a pretty good chance that it might get out of the honorable mention slots this year, but we'll see. There's just really good games out there asking for my time, but I can definitely recommend this game. I've recommended it in the past, and I still recommend it, and you can't go wrong with either deck. The amount of replayability and variety is crazy with such a minimal amount of components. Just an arsenal deck, a monster deck with variable setup, and so many different characters to try with different abilities. And again, the character cards are double-sided, which will give you even more reasons to play it. But yeah, that's Puzzle Dungeon, folks. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, go ahead and put them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.